Good morning. Welcome to the Eclipse Trading Series webinar. My name is Jake Apke. I am one of our training consultants here at Orion. Today, we are in session 5 of our 6-session Eclipse New User Trading Series. So today we are going to be talking about cash management. For anyone who missed the first 4 webinars in the series, feel free to go out onto orion.com/events and you can you can go out and watch any of the other previous webinars we have done already. Now, before we get started, a couple of things to go over. First and foremost, our next Eclipse University event is on May 12th in Omaha. So our first one was last December. This is the second one. So this webinar series, as I said before, is a new user series. It's really meant to just walk everyone through the different sections of Eclipse and familiarize yourself with it. The Eclipse University is meant to be a bit more of a deep dive going into some more complicated topics and sessions. So the other big value is that it gives you the opportunity to sign up for training consultations, so we will have some people there from our SME trading team that you can sit down, meet with, ask any specific questions, get help with any processes or areas of the system that you might have been struggling with. It's also a great opportunity to network and meet other firms, advisors who are using the system, figure out other people who are having the same questions you might have. So still about 10 days or so, April 10th, to sign up and save $100 on that registration price. But that is our next one. You can also scan the QR code there to get to the registration page as well if you are interested. A few other quick things to go over before we jump in. So the first one is feel free to ask questions. We do have a chat in there. We will save some time at the end of the presentation or the webinar so that I can answer any questions that you have in there. But if there are any questions that we don't have time to get to, we will certainly follow up with you as well. I mentioned before, orion.com/events. That's a great website you can go out to watch any of our prior ones. There is also, if you scan any of the QR codes throughout this presentation, there are links there as well to any of our support articles or any of our learning resources. So if you need any help with anything other than what we're talking about today, go out there, use our resources. There's a lot of great stuff out there to help get learning involved. The last thing to review before we get started is just to let you know that there might be some things that you see on my screen or my system in Eclipse that you may not have access to. There are 2 potential reasons that could be. One is that, excuse me, you may just not have access to it in your database. So it's something you want to check with your firm admin and see if you just have a lower permission level that you just don't have specific access to, maybe with some of the preferences or tools I look at. A potential other option is that it may be something that is only available on our end or my end as an Orion admin. So that really mainly applies in the preferences screen. You might see a few things that you don't see, and that's because they're on our end. We can enable, disable, whatever for your database. So with that said, we will go ahead and jump in here. So as I mentioned before, today we are talking about cash management. Oops, hit one too many mouse clicks. Today we're talking about cash management. So we are going to look at the different ways that you can target cash in your accounts. We're going to talk about money going in and out of the accounts. We are going to talk about some of the specific features related to cash trading. So whether that's systematics or syncing over billing to exclude cash. And then we are also going to review the option for trading money markets within Eclipse. So the first thing we are going to talk about is the different ways you can target cash within Eclipse. So think of these as the main buckets that you can hold cash in within the system. So the first one is model cash. I would say that is the most common thing you can think of for targeting cash. That is, when you build out your model, you are giving a specific target allocation to cash in that model. So you can see that's part of your managed value. The set aside cash, that is the main way you are going to exclude cash in the system. So that is quite literally cash that I want to set to the side in the account so that I'm not spending or using on anything else. So think of that for potential upcoming withdrawals or money that you are eventually going to DCA into the account and is just parked out of the market for now. So those are our 2 main buckets of cash is you're targeting cash in your model, or you're potentially excluding cash with the set aside cash. Your other option for excluding cash is the reserve billing cash. So if you have a flat fee that you charge all of your clients, maybe you have 25 basis points that you just want to have, make sure that every account is holding that to the side and that amount is excluded to be able to have any fee that you charge, have that cash there. So that is an option in your firm preferences that you can add. And then the last one is our rebalance cash. So that is the same concept as model cash. But instead of going into your individual model and giving an allocation there, you're going into your preferences. So potentially you are a firm that says, hey, we don't have different cash targets based on our model, whether they're an aggressive model or a conservative model. Every client of ours is going to target 1% cash. So if you're strategizing that way, you may not want to put the individual cash in each model. You can just set up your rebalance cash preference. So the first thing we're going to look at and talk through is the set aside cash. So we're going to look at the different ways you can add set aside cash in the system. There's a few main ways. And then right after this, we're going to do pull up Eclipse and look at just how you set up a set aside cash and some of the nuances and features of them. So the first way to do it, quote unquote, maybe the main way or the way you might think the most often, since these are potentially situational, you are adding to an individual client when they need cash that is withheld out of the market, or excuse me, to the side of the account. You can pull up an account. Whether you're on the accounts grid, you can double click the account to open it and you'll see a cash section over on the left-hand side. That is the demo we're going to do. But imagine you're on the accounts grid. You can right click, open the account, see that cash set aside section there. So once you click on it, you will see this pop-up screen. This is going to be the common denominator no matter where you were trying to add Eclipse in the system. There are different paths, different potential options, but you are always going to be presented with this specific box that you are going to need to fill out. So that is where we are going to start with the first demo of pulling up Eclipse. So give me just a moment and I will share my Eclipse screen. Okay, so we're looking at adding a set aside cash on the account. So I'm coming down here to the accounts grid, and if we're following the same instructions we did before, I'm going to just go in and say this account right here. So double click to open the account. Over on the left-hand side, you'll see the cash section. Scroll down, and this is the set aside cash section. So when we click on that blue button with the add set aside cash, as I said before, you'll see the same box pop up regardless of where and how you are adding set aside cash in the system. It's going to be consistent presentation. So the first thing we're going to talk about is just how you would fill out this information. What are the different spots in here you can fill out? What are the different blanks here?